Yeah, does anybody else have any questions about anything before we get started? Before these damn cats start talking, you know how they be quiet all day, and then once I start, they just like these niggas be always trying to get their 2 cents in, but you know. Question on the floor is Russia doing as the West with Africa recruits to Russia? Yes. Yes and no. In one vein, they are striving to amass influence by canceling debt. One thing with the African nations, for some reason, is that they, within, I would say towards the end of the 90s, you started seeing a heavy influx of foreign people because a lot of the colonial powers was getting kicked out of Africa per se. So what plagues Africa more than anything else, more than the corruption, more than the more than the European influence, more than a lot of the discretionary practices that they do, it's really hard to have to do business with them over there because of the corruption, because of the unilateral scamming, because of the geriatric, the what do you call that? The geriatricity that's running the whole thing over there. I mean, you think Biden is old, like they'll have people in there up to close to 80, 90 years. You know what I mean? You'll have the same family running the government into the ground while all of the children of the said government will be doing business in Europa and places like that. So they have an issue when it comes to long-standing agreements. So the Chinese, specifically around like the late 80s into the 90s, but then fully going into it by the 2000s, they started offering them huge age packages as well as infrastructure packages, you know what I mean, to be able to build up the infrastructure in the countries. Because like I said, a lot of the African nations, as rich and everything as they are, the leadership is poor. You know what I'm saying? It's very poor. Speaking of which, the term piss poor, does anybody know where that term comes from? The term piss poor, how that started, or where that comes from? I'll tell you. Piss poor back in the 1500s, right? Around the 1500s, around that time, they had a lot of issues, especially the poor people that was living in the pogroms under the Moorish ruling classes, right? So a lot of the Europeans, please don't be yelling no more. A lot of the Europeans and then people, they used to keep their foot on their neck on they Slavs, on their slaves. So what they did was um, leather tannery, right, was a big thing in Europa. You had different types of esteemed and really good leather, you know. So what they would do was they would create, in order to help tan the leather, they would get urine, right? Urine was a good way to cure the leather and make it durable and stuff like that. So the Europeans or the peons, this is where also the term peon come from. The peons used to pee in buckets and bring the pee to the leather tanneries. And once, yeah, they did. They would take the pee to the leather tanneries, right? And then they would give them money for the urine. So you would have families that would be so poor that this is how they would do it. But some of these families were so poor they didn't even have buckets. So this is where the term uh, piss poor will come from, as well as not having a bucket or a window to throw it out of. You see what I'm saying? Because of this. So these types of things became the norm for these people. You know what I mean? As they lived under people. Yeah, like people donate blood or people donate stuff like that. So that's where the term piss poor came from. So when they talk about piss poor countries and Africa being, in these predicaments, a lot of that is coming from the fact that a lot of these governments in Africa are perpetually keeping their people piss poor. You understand? So that way they can basically rally all of the bread and all of that for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Even to this day, unfortunately. And this now falls then on the infrastructure of of the people, because it keeps them from being able to generate long-term income, which then allows the corrupt governments to allow foreign people to come in and build shit when they could just be educating their own people, which would then allow them to do that. So that's where a lot of that come from. Yeah, being so poor, not being so piss poor that you don't have a bucket or a window to throw it out of. This is where all of this stuff is coming from. Where at the same time, everybody, the land and everything is mad rich. Nigeria is way richer than Dubai. You know what I'm saying? Way richer, way more abundant, way more uh, affluent in terms of natural resources than Dubai and all of that. However, the Dubai leadership, you see what I'm saying? They have a better infrastructure and everything on their people because of the fact that they you know what I mean? They rule a situation and advocate for their people more so than other nations. That's why when African nations send their people over there to get money and to work for them, they always at the bottom, because they figure, well, your nation ain't taking care of you, so you basically a in-house slave for us. And because Africans, unfortunately, a lot of them put themselves in these positions, just like people here. Look at the entertainment industry. Look at um um the same thing in like what's happening with Diddy and all of that. A couple of years ago, it was Kanye. He was the biggest billionaire. He was the one running it, right? Then the minute that they decide that he's not going to be the one, boom, then they demote him, right? And then they put who? They put P. Diddy. He became the next billionaire to be looking for, right? Now he's on the outs. They pulling him down, and now who they going to big up? It's going to be, and next thing you know, he goes down. And next thing you know, 50 Cent got a whole giant movie studio. You see what I'm saying? So God forbid something happen with him or he get found out to be whatever, they're gonna pull him down and they're gonna put Jay-Z up there. But they don't never do that with Jeff Bezos. They don't never do that with Mark Zuckerberg. And these people are committing international crimes. You know what I'm saying? International crimes these people is doing on a daily. You understand? For instance, in order to create all of these Apple phones, you know what I'm saying? They got to get all of that coltan. You know what I mean? African people don't have infrastructure to go get it out. So they literally allow their children to go into these mines and mine this shit to death. You understand what I'm saying? To death. But nobody's talking about that. Nobody thinks that that should be stopped because everybody wants their iPhone. You did? So this is the problem with the long-term infrastructure when it comes to that, and why we shouldn't always be looking to Africans to help feed our situation or help get us out of the situation. Especially if you're going to go by the whole African story about, them putting us in slavery and all of that. Like, nobody's going to the Africans asking them for reparations, are they? Why not? If they were the ones that started the actual trade against you, how come nobody is going and forcing these African nations to give up money for these reparations? That should show you that there's something else going on. So they'll be okay with the out of Africa theory, and they'll be okay with you saying that you come from them or going over there to find whatever tribe from. But when they come over here, they're not looking to be a part of you. They're not looking to be a part of us. They establish their own communities, which they should. Like this, like the Ethiopians basically run Washington D.C. You know what I'm saying? The Somalians basically run Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Like they, to the point when they get their people in there, they put them in the state governments, they put them in the police forces and all of that. They create a voting constituency. This is what this is what everybody do but us, because we're the ones that everybody is living off of. And that's what nobody wants to really deal with when it comes to the so-called plight of the original man and woman in the Americas. Because we're so busy infighting with one another, we're not taking advantage of all of the stuff that's naturally here for us. Because everybody know that that shit is fake. The whole Africa, out of Africa theory, all that. They know that that shit is fake, but it's a running scam that allows them to make our people here try to identify with them in such a way. But how come they don't pull the same scam with people from India or people from Malaysia or people from or any dark skinned people from the Caribbean? How come they don't? How come nobody is going to them talking about, y'all really from Africa? Y'all should go back to Africa and find your roots and all that type of shit. They not going to none of them other nations and doing that. The only people who fall for that scam are the original people here. And it's perpetuated by people that look like they from here, but they not really from here. Half, if not all, of the celebrities that you see on TV, most of these Negroes are from other nations. Period. Most of the rappers, most of the actors. You see what I'm saying? As much as you love Idris Elba and all of that, what he know about growing up in the crack era? He wasn't here for that. You understand what I'm saying? So how is he playing Stringer Bell in The Wire? You know what I'm saying? This nigga 21 Savage grew up privileged out of England, right? With his father's a holistic doctor, his mother's some sort of academician or whatever, right? And this nigga's not, and he grew up as an Atlanta goon, slaughter gang, all this other type of shit. But then you got pictures of him during that whole time when his family and them was under Dr. York on the land in Atlanta, which is the center place, which is the center for all of the effery that's going on in so-called Black America. That's the epicenter for it. This bitch Fannie Willis got caught out here at a function with strippers and niggas smoking weed. These niggas are smoking weed around this bitch. Just yesterday. One of my Moors called me and said, yo, Mo, I'm doing security at this thing. I just think I saw Fannie Willis in here. He said, Mo, they got strippers in here and all of that. They blowing weed up in here, all of that. Then I turn on the internet, somebody done found it, got it on tape. This the bitch that's trying to lock up Trump. So this is what I'm saying. They will use the American Negro as a cudgel, as a velvet glove over the iron hand. You know what I mean? To make it seem like they all coming up, when all of these Negroes are descended from the same Negroes that been selling us out from the beginning. That's how we got in this situation. You understand? By them identifying with the foreigners instead of us. Just because they melanated don't mean that they your brothers, that they look, just because they look similar to you don't mean they are you. Africa is one of the most diverse continents in the world. Islam in the entire world. You want to find the biggest person, the smallest person, the darkest person, the lightest person, the fattest person, the whatever, you will find it in so-called Africa. The only reason why they don't go based on it like that is due to the fact that the Caucasoid, when he was basically striving to act like he was running shit, he looked at everybody under the shade of, well, he's darker, he's lighter, he's brown, he's that. So that's the diversity that they're looking for. But the true diversity is in the genetics, is in the DNA. So they want you to identify with being descendant from the oldest woman in Africa, who they call Lucy, right? But Lucy is a hominid. That's an ape. That's an ape, man. Put him out. Lucy is an ape. Okay? She is an ape. So what are they saying? So don't get mad when they try to call you monkeys. You see how they be playing? How these Masonic niggas be playing with you? They be playing with you, B. They be creating circumstances that don't exist based upon that. Lucy is an ape. If you want to go by the original woman, you would have to look up who they call the Guadeloupe woman, right? And where's she from? Over here. Hold up. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Let me get it out. So you see what I'm talking about. Yeah, they want you to believe that, again, women was self-creating, that the goddesses, that we was worshiping the goddesses, and they was, doing all of that, and all of the men didn't exist. All of the men, didn't exist, and Parthogenesis, and all of this stuff, right? And again, man, that may be true. That's cool if you want to believe that, if you want to be with, what gender came first. But even though, so they want you to believe that, but then these same people say that God, when they refer to God, they refer to God as a he. So how do that work? How do that work? How is it that, okay, so she's the first on the planet due to Parthogenesis or solar galactic birth, or whatever new they come with that the white man had created for them to believe in, right? Let me pull it out for you. Okay, so let's do the knowledge to this. All right, look. So when you subscribe to the outer Africa theory, you subscribing to this. Okay, how is it a 3.2 million year old human relative named Lucy walked? Now remember, they created a movie, right? Didn't they have a movie called Lucy? And in the movie, the white girl, Scarlett Johansson, aka the Black Widow, right? She went through a stage where she was given this blue liquid, right? Now remember we was talking about the blue liquid, the blue dye on the last joint, right? And then through the blue liquid, she was able to go into ancient history and all of that. And there was a point that she went so far back, she wound up looking directly in the chair, looking directly at the ape, Lucy, in Africa, right? Remember that, right? Y'all saw that movie? Y'all remember that, right? So they showing you in their own little corrupted way what they're trying to get you to subscribe to. When you subscribe, we're going to read it in a second. I'm just looking for the juxtaposition, the image, so I can put it up. And the movie was good. You know what I mean? They synthesized the blue, just like in Dune. Remember, they had the spice melange that they took out of the worm, and it was a blue dye. That blue dye. Now, when you actually get into Frank Herbert, I read all the Dune books. I got all of them before the movies and all of that, right? I remember seeing Dune in the movie with my father, but before that, my uncle was doing time in Osnan, in the prison up there, and he was in charge of the library, and he was a science fiction buff. So my great uncle, so he used to send me all the Dune books. So I read them. And then after that, I read them all, right? And then from there, I started to get into Frank Herbert, the guy that actually wrote the books, right? Now, Frank Herbert, he was also into psilocybin, right? Or psilocybin mushrooms and all of that. Well, my queen just said, please, if anybody hasn't sent the $30 via the class, if you could do so, that would really be great. She's on some monitoring the whole thing now because you know how I be. So if you haven't, please do so. Anyway, and what the blue dye and the blue spice melange actually was based on the blue extract that they would take when they soaked the mushrooms into the water to extract the blue, to put it, you know what I'm saying, in, which would make you go up, right? So that's the blue within the blue. So Lucy now, as you see, how a 3.2 million year old skeleton human relative named Lucy walked. Now, this is Lucy, right? A sculpture of her, a rendering of her, right? Of it, right? And this is from CNN, so you know it's propaganda. Okay? You know it's propaganda. When the remains of an early human ancestor were found where? In Ethiopia in 1974, the discovery provided an unprecedented look at the species that lived for millions of years before humans walked the earth. So that means that God created monkeys and all of this before you. That's what they saying now, okay? So that means then that you can't be the first round human if this is. See how they put you in a box with this crap? The rare fossil representing 40% of a skeleton belonging to a female Australopithecus, right? Afarensis was named Lucy for the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Now, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was a code that the beetle represent resurrection, right? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, if you didn't know, is a anagram for LSD. See? This is what they were singing about. They were singing about the acid trips they was going on, okay? So now researchers are using the skeleton to figure out how this ancient human relative moved 3.2 million years ago. The findings of the study were published in Tuesday's Royal Journal, the Royal Society of Open Science. You see? This is some British MI6 bullshit they done created. Lucy was shorter than the average human, reached about 3.3 feet and 1 meter. What's that? 33. So you know who's writing this. You know what the deal is. You already know what this is. 33 and a third? Okay. In height, had an ape-like face and a brain about, look, 1/3 the size of a human brain. So you tell me, when have you ever seen a monkey turn into a human being? Has anybody seen this? Has anybody seen a monkey turn into a human? In your whole life that you've been alive, have you ever seen this? Never. Right. So, and this is how they trolling you. They already trolling you. They already said that they came up with the name of all of the Lucys in the world. Why would you name it after the LSD song? After the song that the Beatles, which represent resurrection, after LSD. They showing you that we just conjured this shit up when we was on a trip. Right? 3.3 meters, 3.3 feet and 1 meter high. So this thing was also a midget. So when have you ever seen a midget monkey grow into a grown African woman? Some of these African women be like 6 feet tall. When did this happen? Look, analysis of Lucy's fossil over the past 20 years has suggested that she and others of her species walked upright. a research associated. The defining aspect, what makes us human, is the ability to walk on two legs, right? But monkeys walk on four. But this monkey happened to walk on it. So I guess she's from the Planet of the Apes, right? That's what's going on, right? So that's also what they do. They create the Planet of the Apes movies and shit to get you to the idea that this could be true. Look how they do you. Look how they do. Hold up. The original Planet of the Apes came out in 1968. This study was done in 1974. In 1974, they came out, or I think 1975, they came out with Return to the Planet of the Apes. Isn't that coincidence? Isn't that interesting how they could just do that? So then they come out with the movie showing you who Lucy relative really is now. This chick right here, these people right here. This is why the out of Africa theory is not relevant, because you have trees in America and Australia that's older than this. That's older. So if you got trees that's older, that's both in America and Australia, how is it that everybody and everything come from Africa, or the continent of Africa, that we named it as such? Can somebody say that? Look, he said, Dan says she got the same lips. Exactly, Dan, exactly. But now let's look at this. Hold up. Now let's look at this. The Guadeloupe skeleton. Okay. What's this? Now remember, there's a saint called the Saint of Guadeloupe, right? Y'all know that, right? The fossilized human skeleton from Guadeloupe has received considerable publicity as a result of Cooper's article last year. My investigations extend to the discussion of Stringer and Cooper. The number of skeletons discovered in 1805 by Moelle, Guadeloupe, by the governor, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the main part. But limited information was available and meant that the argument was tentative. See, that's how you know it's the real shit. They don't want you to deal with that, because we got everybody to believe that they come from the hominid, right? Basically a monkey, right? Which is why they calling why they be calling black people monkeys and stuff and all this other crap, when they know that it's really them. Because remember, what genetics does the monkey have? It has the Rh positive, right? The recess in it, right? Doesn't it? And Rh positive is what we are not. We are not Rh positive, because we are actually born of the arm, leg, arm, head. Real human beings, right? But look at what they give the date to her as. Look, the Guadeloupe woman, 28 million year old human skeleton, but they saying that the other one is 3.2 million. But they saying that the 3.2 million is older than the 28 million. How do you do that? How do you do that? How is 3 more than 28? Can somebody explain that? No. See how this when they want to hide it. Very little is known about this archaeological find, and even the British archaeologists. Why is always the British Royal Society always the ones that they go to with this crap? You can tell by the hips on this skeleton that this was an original woman, right? Whose homeland this artifact is stored and almost know nothing about, right? or at least it was stored earlier, because there has been no news about this find for many years. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to deal with this, because this then destroys the entire thing, right? Look, before the British invasion, many skeletons of ancient animals and only one human skeleton was found in this place by the French. See? See? Hiding it. And the modern dating of this layer gives 28 million years. That is, this layer was found 25 million years before the appearance of man as such. So you mean to tell me this female, right, existed unto itself over 28 million years ago with no men in sight? So you could find the female, but you can't find the male. When have you ever seen that in nature? Have you ever seen that outside of an octopus, outside of maybe a clownfish? Have you ever seen a bee female? Like, if you had a whole hive of queen bees, you know what you would have? No bees. You understand? You understand? This is all to negate the male gender. This is what this is about, because they want the female to believe that she is an island unto itself, that you just miraculously appeared out of nothing, and that you broke down within yourself the Parthogenesis that would allow you to regenerate and create something that never existed up until you. Have you ever seen that in reality? Have you ever seen it in anything outside of an octopus, a jellyfish, or a clownfish? If you have, let me know. This is how you also get the Christians. Like, so you mean to tell me, okay, so Mary, so based on your story, you're saying that Mary, right, self-created based upon the Immaculate Conception coming from the non-physical, right? And then she gave birth to God without the touch of a man. However, these same Christians, right, will tell you that adultery, because she was married, right? Mary was married, right? Right? So that means then that she committed adultery, right, with God, according to their story. But adultery is bad, isn't it? Isn't it supposed to be evil? You're not supposed to do that. So in that, you're then telling me then, under the same auspices, then that Allah or God created the first baby moms. You're saying that God created the first baby moms and the first simp with Joseph. That's what you're telling me? That's what you're telling me. That's what you're saying. Think about it, man. Think about it logically. Adultery is wrong. So why didn't Allah, or whatever the manifestation of the Most High that chose to incarnate like this, why didn't it find somebody that was already unmarried, so that way they wouldn't break the commandment? They wouldn't break the commandment that it set for everybody to follow. So what does that say? This God is what? It's the law is for thee and not for me. That's what we doing? That's what we saying? No, this is what the church fathers had to create in order to create a circumstance to get you to believe that this was the first genetic thing that they created to get us to believe shit that is impossible or you have never seen in physical life. Islam, Aseer, that's exactly what the prophet said. If I could only get you to think, This is nothing against Yeshua. This is nothing against Yeshua and the story of what they want to say and all that. All I'm saying is when you are creating anything in physical density, this is a dualistic system. Earth is a closed system. Therefore, you need 1 and 2 to make 3. And you must also count the space in between these things in order to create. None of us has ever seen and has never experienced a reality in which something was created from by itself. Now, the space in between the creation, meaning the space between the thought of the creation and the actual creation, is unseen. That's the dark place that we don't see. When the fertilizer, which is the sperm, goes into the so-called egg, right? Because it's called an egg, right? And then the life creates. If there is no sperm, what happens to the egg? What happens to it? It dies. What happens to plants if you don't water them? They die. They die. So, what that means, brothers and sisters, is that there are certain immutable laws that exist in this density that we cannot get around. In order for a melanated man or woman to procreate with a non-melanated man or woman, they have to inject the female with what is called a Rogam shot. It is spelled RH for a reason. Because you have to nullify the dominant gene, like we talked about last week. The dominant gene is dominant. Therefore, you have to subdue it to stop the original seed, the original energy from destroying the mutation that is inside of it. That is a fact. They just don't talk to anybody, especially the melanated woman, about this. This is why prenatal care is so important for them. Because this is how Yaqub's doctors and nurses were able to perpetuate and bring about these people. That's what the vitiligo is about. That's what the sickle cell is about. Whatever enzyme was mutated within or extracted out of that line of so-called original people that allowed these people to be less recessive, the extraction of that gene created a recessive pocket within the dominant gene of the original, which then led to generational things that they would call leprosy. Leprosy back in the days was not your fingers falling off. It was you turning white. Facts. In the Bible, it says when Musa put his hand in the fire and took it out, it took it out. When it went in, it was dark. When he took it out, it was white. Then he put it back in, and when he took it out, it was black again. Musa is also the one that wrote the books of the Bible, what they call the Old Testament, or what they call the books of Moses. Case in point, see here on the right, See how they got the more right here with the vitiligo? See how short they are? The tois, right? And they got the mother in the seat, but who is standing above and behind her? The man. The man. Just like this. It is from the bosom that we all supposed to suck, from the original woman. Because when she goes into a mutated form, she can create other beings. But that's only in the absence of the father. Islam, Mark, he said that's a symbolic of the Holy Spirit. Yes. The Holy Spirit is the unseen genetic transfer that happens between us when we create from one another. Therefore, we are both necessary in order to keep life going. These bastards, these things right here, these are the reasons why we are confused. This is the reason why we are in the positions that we're in, not knowing. Because they are the ones who are riding the goat, the wretched goat Roger, the Capricornius, right? Because they are the ones that were brought out of the cave and brought back into civilization and were given certain keys in order to allow them to procreate. That's why they can only create each other with each other. If they lay down with anybody else on the planet, they're not in the original form. And thus they have to be removed. Not because I say it, not because I don't like Caucasian people. This is their history. This is how y'all got here. Through us. You can't have a society without us in it. It would be gone. You know how many, if we wasn't here, they'd have nuked this place years ago. Let's keep it real. That's why we taught them certain instances, because too many of us was procreating and trying to create new ways to keep them here, just to spite one another. That's why everything has to have a narrative. That's why everything got to be the same, because evil can't create nothing new or good. You can't produce nothing good from something bad. It don't work that way. Life begets life, period. Doesn't matter what you and I agree on, what it is. It is what it will always be. Maybe if we was totally on some total alkaline, back in the glorified bodies that probably exist, that still exist outside of this reality that we probably go back into once we leave this place, right? Maybe you can self-emulate, self-create in that instance, but that means what? You got to be glorified. You got to be out of this garbage. You got to be totally alkaline. You got to be ready to absorb all of this interdimensional radiation energy and all of this stuff. You got to be ready for that. You mean to tell me, you really think if that's the case, right? If these people, you a man, you a woman, whatever, you a woman, you believe that you don't need no man to have no baby, all of this, whatever. So why are women spending millions of dollars for sperm? Why are they doing that? Why are they spending millions of dollars on EVF, on IVF? Why are they doing that? You seen the brat and Julie and Judy. You see what they went through? They was trying to get the original man's sperm and couldn't get it. So what did they do? They had to settle for the white man. They had to settle for the white sperm. You saw it. You saw it. Didn't you? You saw it. And what did they produce? A white baby, right? That baby white, right? Right? So just like Drake, so what? You gonna have this white baby, and then this white baby gonna grow up rapping and be calling me nigga and all that shit too? That's what y'all think it is? That's what's hot in the streets now? All because you couldn't find a brother to actually lay down with all these men you know, everybody in the industry you know. Future got hundreds of kids. You couldn't go to that nigga and ask him for something? You couldn't do none of that, right? No, you had to go and do what they wanted you to do. You don't know who baby that is. You don't know who baby that is. You don't know who father that is. Remember, we talked about the half-life of uranium. Half-life of uranium 23 is 4.5 billion years. One of the energetic properties of melanin is uranium. There's uranium in the melanin. That's what allows you to absorb the sunlight. That's why O blood type can give it to everybody, but it can only get it from another O. O is the cipher. And the majority of people with O is over here. It's melanated people from over here. So the very fact that radiation, which is again there, and melanin is there to absorb radiation, you know what that means? That means melanin is older than the radiation. Because melanin is what they call the perfect black. That's what comes out of the abyss. What they say coming forth by night into the day. That's why they put melanin on spaceships, on shit they shooting out into the rockets to absorb the radiation. But they now convince y'all that you get melanated people now, they getting skin cancer. You only getting that in the past 100 years because you've been destroying the alkalinity of your melanin by procreating with other people that's not of your people. They not going to tell you that though, because that's racist. But go to a Jewish person and say, hey, do you mind if your baby marries a Gentile? Yes. But how is that not racist? Yes, the COVID shots, all of that is negating all of this. So we don't already disproved the whole scam about coming from Africa, with the melanin and all of that. The blood type, the melanin is producing within the blood itself. That's why the black man's sperm is the most prized sperm in the world. And now that they done infected everybody with it, it done blowed up in their face. You just watched on Love and Hip Hop, this crazy chick, Yandy, she trying to give her egg to some chick with no man, right? So that way they can take her egg, they can graft her egg out of her, put it in this other chick so she can have a baby to be a single mother. Right? So she doing that. Meanwhile, her husband, the one that she had babies with, allegedly, he was offered $100,000 for his sperm, and he said no because he wants to honor his connection with his wife, and he don't want to have no seed out there that don't come from them. But men are the problem? But it's all our fault, right? It's this is, oh, ain't no good men. What are you talking about? Then he like, according to the story, because it's probably all fake, but according to the story, he like, you know what? I'm kind of done with all of this. I can't be out here trying to convince you of what you should be doing at this point. All because you want to help this chick become a single mother. And now he got to sit there and watch his wife now be the mother of another baby that he not gonna be in. But you know what they doing now? I just watched this other thing with this Caucasoid chick who she was a lesbian. She got pregnant through IVF. Her and her lesbian girlfriend, wife or whatever, partner, whatever. They go through it. They have the baby. It gets to the point it get too much for the male version, for the male chick that she with. She decides she don't want to have nothing to do with her or the baby no more. They leave, right? She leave. You know what this crazy chick do? She tracks down the sperm donor, befriends him, act like they cool, right? She act like they both cool, all of this, right? Then she decides she then swabs, gets a piece of his DNA, gets the swab on, and finds out that he actually is the father. She then goes and takes him to get child support for the baby, and he got to pay. And she talking about how happy she is because now she gets to be a stay-at-home mom and she ain't got to work and she got to do this. Do you see what is happening? Do you see what Yaqub's curse has done to humanity at this point? Not just original men and women. This happening to white folk too. It's sick. It's sick. All to prove some imaginary point that don't exist. All to prove what? That I can have a baby without a man. This is the level of depravity that these people is on now. They have gone totally insane. You understand? Immortality is for those that are fit for it. Some people ain't supposed to have babies. You ever think of that? No. Because if I'm a woman and this is what I want, this is what I should be able to get. Right? 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 This is what happens when you tell women that they God. This is what happens when you tell them that they God and they could just do whatever they want with no accountability, no consequences. This is what happens when you have a bunch of weak men that exist only to foster another person's ego. And the minute it gets hard, they want to go and switch up the chicken and try to do it with something else. We didn't just prove the genetic efficacy of the original man and woman. We created everybody on this planet. Everybody. Everybody. Which is why everybody hate us. Everybody want to come over here. When the last time you went to Africa? You ain't do that. You ain't doing that. Why? Why would they all coming over here? China. If America is so bad, why would they want to come over here and invade it? Why would they want to come over here and what? Turn it into China? Turn it into Africa? Why would you want to do that? Why would a God that told you not to commit adultery then go around and commit adultery? Why are we so locked down to stuff that just don't make no physical common sense, much less genetic? We'll read it again. Look, the photographic shows the X chromosome at the left alongside with the Y chromosome. The Y chromosome is passed down exclusively from father to son and can serve as an indicator of the male line. That's why you give the baby the man's name when you know who the father is. That's why they say mommy, baby, daddy, maybe. Because it's a clear indication of the genetic line, of the clan, of the tribe that this genetic signature is indicative to, and can go all the way back to time immemorial, before the hominid, before the split of the continents. Right? But they don't want that. That's why they had to get rid of the father. The only way you can get rid of the father is taking control of the mind of the mother. You want to know when the whole thing switched up in our community? After World War II, when the communist, socialist, polio-ridden president, FDR, got with a bunch of Negroes that was foreign through the American Colonial Society, aka the Boule, the rest of these niggas, and got together and created the plan for the Great Society. That's what it was called. The Great Society, in which they would then turn everything to a welfare state. And then by 1945, they initiated the incentive of the welfare state, starting with the original people, going into the community, right? And getting the women specifically to make sure that the man won't be in the house, to break up the genetic lineage for money. And that eventually morphed into what they call the Indian Act, which was the Civil Rights Act. They done made movies about this. Go back and look at the movie Claudine with James Earl Jones, Diana Carroll. Go back and look at that movie. Both of whom, in real life, was married to Caucasoids. Right? Because they can only be original inter-black people when they acted. Go back and look at the. Then they made a version for the Hispanic people called Poppy. Go and look at Poppy. 338,000 years ago, which means we got to double this and triple this, because remember, the Nation of Islam has no birth record, so they really can't identify it. But this goes back farther than any other in a direct line from father to son. So now when we add this up with the Guadeloupe woman, right? If there's a Guadeloupe woman, there's a Guadeloupe man. They're not going to get into that. They don't want to, they don't want to speak on that. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to show you the man. Because then what do we have? That's Adam and Eve. See? Or Adamu and Heva. Where we get the term evening or heaven from. That's why I could dress you up like a European. I could dress you up like a Asian. I could dress you up like a Malaysian. I could dress you up like whatever, and you look like you from there. Because originally that's what all the people that was there was from. We the original people of Earth, the whole planet. The whole planet. Not just one part. When these people was hominids, when these things was Australopithecus, you understand? There's a book you can get called Anacalypsis, volumes 1 and 2. Get that book. Get those volumes. And they tell you, Gerald Massey tell you, all of the original icons of all the ancient religions were jet dark black people, dark original people. So when these people be arguing, oh well, we was Indians, oh we was Africans, we were what? First of all, African. If you get the book Time Walker, in the book Time Walker, it says one of the ancient names of the Moors was the Aurelius, the Aurelius Afriensis. You know what Aurelius mean? Aryan. So they not even Aryans. They got us thinking that the original Aryans was the Indians. No, they was the dark-skinned Moors. Yep. Read it. Who were basically immortal at this time. Living for hundreds of years. So again, they'll talk to us about monkeys. They'll talk to us and say, yeah, you come from this monkey. You know what I'm saying? Look, let me show you the ones that went with the Guadeloupe woman. And you notice they recreated what the hominid chick looked like, but they just leaving the bones of the Guadeloupe woman by itself. They ain't recreating that, is they? Nope. I wonder why. Yeah, because you are your ancestors' return. You ain't never left. You just keep coming back here. This piece of crap the other day, Kai Sanat, right? This little puppet, this little gremlin, then came out and said so-called black people don't have no culture, right? Black American people don't have no culture. Meanwhile, all this nigga do is dress like original people here in America, listen to rap culture that was created here in America, right? Eat American food, right? All of this. This is what I mean about these niggas. This is why they throw these niggas in your face, because they know that they hate you. And they know that because we are not unified, that they could just say whatever and people will let it fly. Here we go. Here we go. The Grimaldi man. The Grimaldi man, name formerly given to two human skeletons in the Upper Paleolithic period, discovered in Italy, 1901. The remains are now recognized as representing two individuals, are dated back when? 26,000 to 22,000 years ago, right? And classified as part of the wider early European modern human population of the late Origensian period to early Gravettian period. See that? You also got the Cheddar Man, right? Now peep this. You ready? The oldest Homo sapiens discovered in Morocco. The discovery that will change world human history. Wait, where do you see him? That's 50 Cent. Now remember, when they talking to you about Morocco, they talking about the entire planet back when this was going on. This is before the continental drift and all of that. They recreated him and he looked like this. That's why I be saying we keep coming back. Now, he looked totally different than the so-called Moroccans that's there now, right? So they can't be the original people of Morocco, can they? And back at this time, Morocco was connected to over here, Islam. So really, they talking about over here. Yet we have no culture, right? Right? That's the story, right? That's what y'all going with, right? The skulls of today's man are categorized by the combination of characters distinguished from those of our ancestors. No, these are our ancestors. The evolutionary tree of the hominids, not the hominids. One is original human, the other is ape, animal. See, look, the three-dimensional measurements show that the facial morphology of the fossils in Jebel Arud is almost indistinguishable from that of the present man. And when did this flourish? Over 260,000 years ago, right in line with what we just read about the original man being that they found us in South Carolina, right? Over 380,000 years ago. Because the South Africa, remember, there was no South Africa 260,000 years ago. So they're talking about anything south of the continent of Africa, and guess where that is? Exactly. 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 So we done found the original man of Morocco, the original man from America, the original man from Europe, the original man from Asia. What else you got? And the original woman that they was all having babies with in Guadeloupe, Mexico. These niggas be capping, yo. They be really trying to make us believe we don't know nothing. Like we just whatever these niggas say. Look, and remember I was telling you about the Doom shit, right? With the blue eyes, right? Well, that's the Kennewick man. That's the Cheddar man. Because the Cheddar man in them, he had blue with them blue eyes. Why? Because they was eating the mushrooms, right? That was abundant and breaking down the psilocybin so that way they could become more aware because they was dealing with high interdimensional sciences and shit because there was nobody else. They was working it all out themselves. They be playing with us. No, this is why they want you to be from Africa. They want you to be everywhere else. But I just told you the word Africa was named by the Moors, by the Orenius, what do they call the Arrhenius's Genesis, the ancient Moors. That's another name we had, just like Loca Forticitus Obsitas, right? Who had civilizations, who had tools, who had all of the stuff that they act like somebody else invented. No, you got it all from us. Sorry, sorry, first in time, first in line. That's just how it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what it is. It has nothing to do with racism and me hating white folk and me hating African. It has nothing to do with that because the Africans will be the first one to tell me how I come from them and how I need to find my African root. All that I done already found it. It's right here. I'm in Africa right now. I'm in it. Where's this thing at? Hold up. So there's a book called The Sibyls. You should read this book, and it's all about how the women were running everything and how everything was great and how the goddesses were there and they got overthrown by the horrible patriarchy and all of this crap, right? And like that's cool, you know what I'm saying, to a part. And I'm not saying that elements of that didn't happen, but what I am saying is that don't act like matriarchal societies were somehow better or somehow more adaptable and somehow more sustainable, because if they were, where are they now? Where are they now? We can still find elements of the pyramids and all that, right? So we know that they was here, right? So where was they at? So if they were so incredible and they were so thing and they were so this and that, how come those women in those societies did not perpetuate those societies into the future? That we would find evidence of them now. Anybody? I thought they was the shit. I thought this is what we was, you know what I'm saying? We all supposed to be like them. We all supposed to be, you know, under the nurturing and this and that. And again, I'm not trying to negate the aspect of female or the feminine element. What I'm saying is stop trying to put one above the other, because then I'm gonna have to go in and show you that one came out of the other. If not, they both manifested synonymously, which then allowed the race, the creation to continue. They would say, oh, well, what about Queen Nzinga in Africa? Did you realize, have you researched how Queen Nzinga was running? You do know that she killed her nephew to rule, right? You do know she killed half her family to take control of the throne, because that is what they was doing in these so-called matriarchal societies. You do know in Dahomey that you had a whole group of women that were responsible for the enslavement of thousands of people, right? You do know that, right? And they was cool with it, and they was conscious of it to the point where they created rituals that when they was kidnapping and selling the babies, selling the men, selling the women, that they would that in order for them to break the karmic cycle that they knew was going to come to them for doing it, that they would take them around a tree in reverse to reverse the curse, so that way they wouldn't catch it. That's why women like Viola Davis and the rest of these actresses and all, they are committing the same lies. They the same liars producing shit like The Women King that was written by two Caucasian females. But something wrong with me. But something wrong with us. That's what I mean about putting these people in power with no accountability, and you're able to rule by feeding the ego of the female. Man was made for woman, and woman was made for man for a reason. You understand? This ain't for show. This wasn't just something that randomly happened. There was no big bang that brought all of this into existence. It always existed. So when you talk about the ancient Berbers and you talk about the ancient Moroccans, both over there, over here, you talking about people that look like us. This is a Berber. This is an Amazite. This is Hausa. This is what they look like me and you in the western portion, because when it split down the middle and the continent sank in the middle, they was on one side of it, we was on the other. Colehouse said, the mascara is not a real, and it would be a horrifying if it was. Exactly. Oh, what about the Amazons? Like you really want to live in a culture like that? You really want to live in a culture like that? Where they not only telling you what to do, but they trying to basically kill you for not procreating with them, because that's what they talked about they used to do to Negroes and to men. Just how they was living. The old stories of the sirens, who were the daughters of men, who after the creation of the Nephilim and the creation of all of the abominations that they helped the fallen ones create, they were banished to the sea and became the sirens, who would lure the men and the sailors into the sea and then have sex with them in order to reproduce, and then after that rip them apart. These were the wild women of the Delphi, who was in there, and they would kidnap men, rape them, right, and then burn them, cut the phalluses off, wear them around their neck. That's what we supposed to deal with. That's what we supposed to think is cool. That's the type of society I want to exist in again. Well, that's what the goddess worship was about. Who you think this human sacrifices was going to? The great mother. Well, it was Ishtar or Semiramis or Inanna, right? Or Azulu or Azuli or the rest of them. Why you think they doing blood sacrifices and shit today? That's not how civilized people are supposed to live. Who shut that down? The patriarchy shut that down. The men shut it down. The minute the so-called Israelites, y'all want to be Hebrews and Israelites and all of that. First of all, Hebrew's a language. Israelites, the Hebrew, that was a multitude of different pagan people who all agreed that they was now going to worship the storm god, right? And then the minute the storm god delivered them out of Egypt or whatever it was, right? The minute they got to their own devices and wasn't feeling like they wasn't getting what they wanted, first thing they did was create an idol. Next thing they did was they got the females to start having sex and start doing things with the idol. Started the orgies and all of that shit up. Then they got the high priestesses to come and start doing the sex rituals and all of that. Musa came back down, as the stories say, with the 10 Commandments and look at this shit, said, I done went through all of this. I done got my hand turned white and I done been over here, all of that. I done brought this shit down. And this is what y'all doing? To hell with all of this. Y'all don't deserve it. That's what make them chosen, because they all chose that way of life and they always broke their covenant. That's why they was always getting thrown in some sort of bondage with somebody else, under somebody else who honored whatever God or whatever language or whatever society that they was in. That's why they was forbidden to have their own nation again. David was in love with his general. At least that's what the stories say. He was in love with his general. David, who was one of the most chosen, favored by that God, what did he do with Bathsheba? He saw her bathing one night and was like, no, I got to have that. And they said, David, no, she married. He said, word, send her husband, who's one of my greatest generals, send him out to the field. Send him to the front lines so he could get killed so I could go get some of that. This is your kings. This is what they think. That's what they Bible say. That's what they say happened. This ain't me clowning. This is what happened. This is what they say happened. So y'all pick certain parts of the Bible, but then other parts y'all don't. What about the part that says that you're supposed to rub feces on your face? Y'all ain't doing that. When the last time you seen Hebrews doing that? Don't believe me? Look it up. Right now, there's tribes in Africa that drink the urine and of cows and shit. They put their face in the cow's anus and lick out and draw the thing out. As part of your equipment, have something to dig with, and when you relieve yourself, dig a hole and cover. No, that's not it. Here we go. See? Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of the solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. That's Malachi 2, verse 3. Behold, I will then they got all the different versions of it. Look, I am going to rebuke your descendants, and I will spread animal waste over your faces and waste from your festival sacrifices, and you will be taken away with it. So what's up with that? How come y'all ain't doing that? Shayla said, I'll pass on that. Me too, Queen. Me too. Me too. This is what I'm saying, B. We have to, we are in the age of knowing now. We got to stop doing stuff like that. We got to get off that. You understand? Not everything we supposed to be doing, B. Just because they say it written down in the book. First of all of these books was written after these people lived. They was all written after these people lived, B. So nobody is writing from a first-hand account, and it's a first-hand account from somebody who lived after the event, bro. That's now cipher. We ain't supposed to be on it like that. You're supposed to have discernment. Man becomes the food for the divinity that he worships. Idolatry is wrong regardless to how you do it, regardless to what idol you make. Anything crafted from your hands that you worshiping is a problem. Think I'm playing. Hold up. Anybody have any questions while I dig this thing out? No Diddy. Yes, you got to stop letting them define your reality. This is what ancient Moroccans look like. They look like you. I'm not saying the people that's there are not a part of the kingdom and all of that. That's cool. But let's not act like we not that. They got that culture from us. And that culture that they dealing with, that they call a Moroccan, is also altered based upon the French occupation. Let's not forget that. Look.
She looked at me like, do you think you...
Sorry about that. It's the wrong time. I pulled it out. Damn. Down here in the phone. Yes, here we go. Stop following foreigners with their religion, their ways of life. You have your own culture, your own so-called religion that has nothing to do with what foreigners is doing. Just because we look the same or have similar seem like we have similar customs, we don't. Because we know we're not getting down like this. We're not doing all of this. Your Mecca, my Mecca. If we're going to do the Hajj, then you do it over here. We was doing Hajj over here before they was doing it over there. Before them. Look up the tribe of Ben Ishmael and the circumambulations they was doing around the Holy Mountain over here in Illinois, which is, again, Morocco, which was Morocco in the 17 and 1800s before the Kingdom of Morocco was established the same year in 1956 that the Indian Rights Act, aka the Civil Rights Act, came to being. So I'm an African like this. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to Africa and start practicing this type of shit. No, no, thank you. Look, right? The Net Anu, the Anu people, right? Who dedicated himself to the first dynasties, excavated the first time that the Philco pharaohs of the first dynasty in Upper Egypt discovered the evidences of a highly developed people named the Anu, who were so-called Black Africans, i.e. Moors, i.e. the original people from the pre-Paleolithic period, right? We just saw who them people was. These people practiced breeding and agriculture along the Nile, right? Our Nile over here was the Mississippi. They mastered the use of metals and ivory, which were organized and knew how to write. They lived inside cities protected by walls. They proved by many artifacts from them found in Abydos, right? The Anu people founded many Egyptian cities. Of these cities named were composed of the root Iwin, right? Right? There's a Thebes over here. You know how many Thebes cities is over here in America? 18 of them. Just like this mad Carthages, just like this mad Ninevehs, just like this mad Babylons, just like this mad Mesopotamia, all over here. All these elements are backed up by the latest archaeological findings of these areas. Scholars discovered the first people who settled around the Nile Valley between the extreme south, right? Egypt, Sudan, 7000 BC. Nevertheless, E. Wallace Budge, right? The Palermo Stele refers to the term Moor to mean the title of the high priests of Anu. And look what they wearing on their top. Look at that. Look, with the cross, with the X, right? With the staff, right? Exactly. With the same beard, the same woolly hair, just like we seen in the ancient Moroccan picture, right? Yes, Tamaray, meaning ancient Egypt, Kemet, i.e. America, the Tamaruk, right? The Tamarayan, that's us over here. Metal Netter didn't exist. That's something that they created by a dude named Prince Netter from Australia, I think, or Europe or some shit. There's a linguist. I'm gonna start doing interviews with like real people with the real scholarship Moors and all of that to start dispelling a lot of this on the app. I'm trying to do like interviews every Thursday or Friday with somebody that's really knowledgeable about the whole thing that we talk about. So this way you can see and you can hear them from their own mouth. Linguists, like real people, not this fake shit that they be giving us through these fake scholars and the rest of these dudes trying to get brownie points. Look. They have total control. Look, 120,000 to 90,000 year old leather working bone tool, right? From the cave in Morocco. We was creating leather. Remember what I was telling you about the leather with the P and all of that? You see what I'm saying? We always had clothes. We wasn't out here just out here. We always had finery. We always had garments. When they talk about the Alawite dynasty of the Moors, the ancient sultan, this is what they look like. Then, after the years of the occupation, then they start looking like this. See the difference? That's what they always do. They always come in and try to just adopt what you are, have enough babies with your woman, and now you got to accept them because they part of your family. Then they start interbreeding with the ones that look more like them, and then it's a risk. So all of this solar galactic birth shit they be talking about, like it's not real, B. It may have been real at one time, but it's not real where you can point your finger and show it to today. If you want to exist in the physical world today, I ain't talking about the metaphysical world that all of these guys want to always, give credence to, and oh, this is how it really was, and all whatever. Whatever. That's cool and all. But we live in the real world, right? And in the real world, there are laws. There are certain immutable laws that no one can refute. Regardless to what you want it to be, it's going to be what it is, period. You understand? Not because I say so, not because I want to create it that way, because it was like that before I got here. So it's going to be like that after I'm not. In order to be born into the physical world, you need 2 grandparents, 4 grandparents, 8 grandparents, 16 great-grandparents, 32 third great-grandparents, 64 fourth great-grandparents, 128 fifth great-grandparents, 256 sixth great-grandparents, 512 seventh great-grandparents, 1,248 great-grandparents, 2,408 ninth great-grandparents. So for you to be here today, from the 12 previous generations, you need a total of 4,094 ancestors over the past 400 years. That's only 400 years. And remember, from the patrilineal line, you can go back double, triple, quadruple that to 385,000 plus. You understand? Stop letting these people convince you that you just, your mother just created you out of nothing. Stop letting them beat up on your father, on your grandfather. Stop making these waiting to exhale Toni Morrison type chicks make you think that all of your female relatives was raped. Stop that shit, B. It's disrespectful not only to them but to you. Honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long upon the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee. That's right, Mark. Go and read the Circle 7 Quran and what the prophet said about the duty of the husband, the duty of the wife, the duty of the child. How you ever think you're going to get blessed by shitting on one ancestor over the other? How does that make sense? That's a covenant between you and the higher self, which exists at a perpetual state of entropy that exists outside of this reality. We was here before all of this. We was here when there was no land, when there was no water, when we was glorified, when we was the light. They always talk to you about the Eve gene, like this chick just made herself out of nothing. When they talk about Southern Africa, they talk about this. Over here, there was no South Africa. That place didn't exist until the 60s, to the 50s, I mean, after World War II, when all them Nazis went down there and set it up. All to get you to hate the father. Why they want you to hate your father so much? If it wasn't for fathers, none of us would be here. You had to have two grandparents, B. Two of them. And for them to exist, they had to have two. The only people that wasn't having parents and shit like that was the grafted clones, the hominids. We existed from what they refer to as the triple stage darkness. We've been here beforehand. That's why we could absorb all the radiation that came after the light was done. Where the other ones were so broken, they had to go into holes in the ground. You understand? It couldn't exist on the surface. That's the slee stacks and all of these niggas. That's why they want us to believe in the reptilians and all these type of things. Let me tell you something. Any alien that's dealing with these crackers, that's dealing with these people like that, is downstairs. I don't care what type of technology they got. None of that shit is impressive. Get rid of all the technology today. You know what's going to happen? We're going to figure it out. Fallout, the TV show Fallout showed you can stay in the bunker for years, for 200 years. And 200 years later, it's still people outside in the land, in the radiation, living. And all the vault niggas is getting shut down. Stop making them believe that there was some society that was so much better than us, and we were so thing when half of these things, they created them in the past 100 years. They didn't even exist. Think I'm playing? Look. You tell me what's going on. All this shit is a show. All the world is a stage. And we are all merely players. They created this shit in order for us to take what Egypt was over here, Tamaray was over here, and then circumvent it and put it over there. That place over there is younger than over here, B. They taking oaths to ghosts. They act like they got the divine secret and they know what's going on, and the great master and the worshipful builder and all of that is crap. The prophet came and shut all of that down. Once the prophet came, that was it. It's over. All of the secrets is known. That's it. Or take off the marked fezzes. Get rid of all of that. It's over. Like I said, we was giants out here living. Look at these Moors. Look at these giant Moors with feathers on. You see them? Walking all amongst the Moors. Look at all the feathers. Look at the dark-skinned Moors. Look at the giant Moors right in front of the two joints. What's up with that? These was Indians? That's what y'all saying? These is Africans? Look at them in the Jalabilas. Look at the feathers. Look at the Moors. Look at the giant Moors with the black feathers on. Like I said, we are mortal. We've been here so long, we forgot. We don't even remember. We don't even know what's going on. We've been here for so long, that's it. Like, we always been here. Here and the higher realities. Just when we incarnate here as the best. Look at the Moors. Look at the giant Moors. Look at them. Here they go again. See, he got the same staff that the high priest of Anu had that we just seen. They lying. And now, what's been happening since the black hole, since the last two videos and everything we were talking about, is all coming out, B. Look, this from an old cave they done found in Europa. Look at the Moors. Look at the Moors here with the feathers on, under the starships. Okay, look at the feathers, look at the turbans. Okay. Yeah, they're trying to keep up. They can't. Know what also happened on that day? Since that happened? Antarctica is opening up. They done found beaches. They done walked through the ice cave with the smooth ice walls and finding beaches opening up. Not only that, in Mount Erebus, you can look it up. Mount Erebus has been spewing gold. It's been spewing gold into the atmosphere, which is getting rid of all of the chemtrails, getting rid of all of the heavy metals in the sky. It's raining 80 grams of gold dust a day. That's the equivalent of $6,000 of gold every day. It's happening right now. That's why your dreams are so vivid. That's why you don't have the urge to do a lot of lower self shit anymore. That's why you feel full. You can have like one meal and just feel full for the whole day, because the goal, they can't stop it. They can't stop it. They can't contain it. And it's coming out of Mount Erebus. You know what it's doing? It's bonding to your DNA lattice. It's healing you without you even noticing. You're breathing it in. It's traveling across the entire world right now. Right now. How come ain't nobody doing TikToks on that? This is why they want to shut TikTok down. But I think they should. I'm tired of watching niggas pointing above their heads while somebody else is giving them information. Like, nah, B, what do you know about it? The monoatomic gold, it's nanite gold. It's even smaller than the nanites that they've created in the vaccine. It's going into people's bodies. We're breathing it in right now. Right now. Right now. That's why your dreams are so vivid. That's why you ain't been having you know what I'm saying? Been having no issues with certain shit anymore. This is why certain people are literally destroying, going crazy. Because the demons can't deal with it. Gold. Look, Mount Erebus is in where? The southernmost active. See, everything new come out of the south. The southern node, because there really is no north node, no true. It's another video. One of the only two in Antarctica. The summit is what? 12,448 feet. The volcano was discovered and named by who? James Clark Roth. It's true. It's spewing out gold, and the gold is going everywhere, getting into everything, breaking up the heavy metals and the ionides, breaking up the barium, breaking up the iridium, breaking up all of the shit that they've been spraying with the chemtrails. The chemtrails can't even sustain themselves anymore. They've been trying to turn it up. They've been trying to find more of it. They can't. They can't stop it. It's literally healing us right now, turning us back into this. That's what these urns was about. That's why you always see the Moors holding the urns and all of that. That's the atomic batteries that we was activating, giving us back control of everything. This is why your dreams, like I said, is so vivid now. It's literally giving us back our spirit, healing us from the inside through the breath, through the holy breath that the prophet was talking about. Yes, regaining our lost estate. It's shutting down their computers. It's breaking up their communications. It's opening up telepathic pathways within us. That's why you're so hypersensitive now to certain shit. Why certain things have you been going out recently and people, it's literally like you're there, but people are not even seeing you. You talking to people directly. It's like they be like, huh? What'd you say? They can't even hear you. Because you're going back into the glorified body that's enacted by the black sun, by the 2 and 3 suns that's out here now that everybody acting like don't exist. Look, what do Erebus mean? They call them Mount Erebus. What does Erebus mean? I'm going to tell you right now. Look, Erebus, the personification of darkness. The personification of darkness, a place, the place of darkness in the underworld, like Hades. What did we talk about in the last class? We are the Lord. And then didn't we do the whole class on the Moors being the lords of the underworld? Like 5 classes ago? Being the Lord, yes, being the lords of the necropolis. Didn't we say that? When I did the whole class on how to on that book that they was trying to scare us with, more means dead. Yes, yes. And we have been resurrecting ourselves ever since. That's why they don't want you to be Moors. That's why they hate Moors, because the Moors is the only one bringing this type of information. Look, we even in space. This was an episode from Star Trek. You tell me what's going on. This from Star Trek. This is when the Moors was in Star Trek. Honest to the prophet, man. Honest to Emily Ill. Honest to Delilah Millie Ill. Honest to Harlan Bay. Honest to Bailey Ill. Honest to all of the Moors, man. All of the noble Moors that did the work. Honest to Hakeem Bey. Honest to Jose Pimentel Bey. Honest to all of these Moors that was bringing this. Prince Nuriel Bey. Yes. Honest to them, B. Because everybody got a piece. But these niggas want to grasp the tail of the elephant, act like they holding the whole thing. When we've been doing this. Look, this is an image of us intaking the gold. Look. Out of the same vast jars that I showed you, the urns that I showed you in the old pictures. This is what it's doing in our DNA. The gold is literally going within us. We breathing it in. So let these niggas try to do whatever they gonna do, man. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, man. And they trying. Just the other day, they done let these MS-13 niggas in here, and they done sacrificed a whole chick in Houston. They done a satanic sacrifice where they done cut somebody up in Houston. But again, you let all them people from California come up in there and try to do what they doing. It's not gonna work. Everything is going back to the original man. Let me tell you something. There's more guns in America than people, man. You understand? They can stop guns tomorrow. They can't outlaw 3D printing machines. Niggas will start printing guns out of plastic. It's over. It's over for all of it. All the thing they doing is not gonna work. It's not working. It's going back to us, regardless to what they want to say. regards to what they want to do. Anybody have any questions? They don't have no wins. Well, what are they going to do? All of their puppets is being exposed. Look, this is what Weishaupt said about women and ruling. Once you get the woman to think that she's her own God by herself, she become easy pickings. And that's what they hope for. And just like that, they started using her to perpetuate all of the abominations. What they call that? The harlot of Babylon. Again, I ain't talking about the conscious sisters and all that. I'm talking about the ones that fall for the okie doke. Look, this is what he said. He said, there is no way of influencing men so powerful as by the means of the woman. These should therefore be our chief study. We should insinuate ourselves into their good opinion, give them hints of emancipation from the tyranny of public opinion and of standing up for themselves. It will be an immense relief to their enslaved minds to be freed from any one bond of restraint, and it will fire in them more to cause them to work for us with zeal without knowing that they do so, for they will only be indulging their own desire for personal admiration. Tell me that's not what's going on right now. Just like they use the women to perpetuate the Jesus thing, because Jesus was a boat. See, MS-13 Satanists in Houston caught kidnapping and sacrificing young girls. You think of, man, let me tell you. Anybody else have any questions? It's all an act, bro. Everything you think is one thing is something else. This chick done totally turned into what she always was, which was a Caucasian woman. Anybody else? This is now turning out to be true too. For everybody that idol worship this devil. It make no sense, but then when you see it, you can't unsee it because it's a demon. This right here is a sculpture. This is Podesta. This is a sculpture of one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims, right? And then this is her enacting the sculpture at her concert. Well, this is it enacting the sculpture at the concert. So it's a wrap, B. That's right. So again, we got, man and woman together, not one over the other, but one was there to perpetuate the other. So let's stop hating and find a way to come back to one another. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we got. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, the election gonna happen. The election definitely gonna happen, regards to what they're gonna say. And now they got hood dudes. Hood dudes is now becoming pollsters. They got gang, like straight hood dudes that's now gonna be watching the polls in these different Democrat cities and shit like that. It's over. It's over. These niggas want their PPP checks and all of that back. They want homie back up in there. So let's do it. So again, I'm not into that, but anybody that think, you could tell what's happening. So it's better with the devil you know than the one you don't. So again, thank you guys for coming through. Thank you guys for, bless you. Thank you guys for the $30 to DS418, money sign capital DS418.com. Thank you guys for coming through. Definitely check out www.aseer.com. Definitely check out www.cordobaorganics.com. Definitely check out the ADOT app. It's up there. Please definitely check out the Dark Go 418. It's up there. Need as many people to try to get it as possible. I have some more updates on the app I just did today, so definitely check that out. And like I said, we're gonna be able to start going live and doing stuff on that, so that way I can kind of get out of this dead end relationship with YouTube and these niggas. So yes, please support, please spread the word, please subscribe. Like I said, honest to the prophet, honest to everybody. And yeah, man, let's get it. Anybody have any issues or whatever, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. And again, thank you guys for coming through with the support. We greatly appreciate it, man. Because we don't have sponsors and all of that. So it's really just us. So yeah, anybody gets the book, once you read it or whatever, send me a email with a review, because I'm gonna start putting the reviews up on the DS418 website. We're gonna start having t-shirts and a bunch of other stuff as well. So definitely, man, please keep supporting your boy, because like I said, we all we got. The book is called The Dark Scope 418. If you go to www.aseertheducateers.com, as well as the ADOT app, I got it up there for sale as well. So you can get it from either two. Anybody wants to hit me up about their individual processes or whatever concerning nationality and things like that, hit me up, houseofl@hotmail.com. All right? Peace. Be safe, man, until the next one, inshallah. Thank you guys, man. We couldn't do it without you. Peace.